Hey everyone, so in this video tutorial I am going to go over how to set up your workspace. Dun dun dun. Alright, so I can only talk about my setup. I don't know exactly how your setup is at home, but I can talk about mine's, and this may help give you an idea of how to set up your workspace. So I'm gonna grab this little skewer here. So as you can see, you guys, this is something that I've done since I was a young artist and first starting to paint, and I was just like, I don't know what all materials, how to set up my workspace. So it's something that I've done and I continue to do. When it came to a table, I've always used just a regular folding table. Actually, my first table was a card table, which is basically a folding table. So what I did is, at the time I couldn't afford to buy an actual easel, so actually buying a tabletop easel, which is here, is a lot cheaper than buying an actual easel. And we're working fairly small, and a tabletop easel normally does a really good job, especially if you're first starting out and you don't really have a whole lot of money to buy materials for your workspace. So as you can see, I'm in my studio. I have a room size studio, but lately, because I've been recording, I've kind of been working on my little table area that's over here. I haven't really been on my easels as much, but you can see how just a small little regular space in the corner is really more than enough to you probably would need. So normally what I would do if I set up my easel, so this is a little regular, very simple tabletop easel. So as you can see, it's set up for you, and if I had a canvas or something, I can put it there. It's very, very easy for you to use. It's great to paint. You can adjust your easel from different levels if you need to. So tabletop easels are very great for painting. As you can see, if I was to set up still life over there, I can have my tabletop easel in one area, and I can look at my right side and see my composition or whatever I'm painting from life. So a tabletop easel is something that you could think about purchasing if need be. But if you're just like, yep, I cannot do that, that's fine. Another thing that what I used to do, and I still do to this day. So on my table, I have it's a wood board. And sometimes what I would do, just so I can have just a little bit of ease because I'm painting, I would take tape. So this is, I think, a 2-inch tape. And I actually learned this from a professor when I was at LCAD, and it was just an amazing idea, and I still use it to this day. So what I would do is I would take the tape and prop it under my board. And what this does, it gives a little bit of an edge, like it's not completely flat, it's a little bit at an angle. And so as you can see, that definitely helps as well. You could tape your paper or have your canvas on your table, on that board, and that definitely works just as well. So as you can see, if I had to draw anything or paint anything that's in my area for where all my still life and things are at, I can definitely do that from my table. So in another video, I'll talk about how I set up my still life area, but as you can see, everything is on my folding table. Like, I'm in one spot in my studio, and it works really well. So if you have small space, this definitely does work. So I do want to talk a little bit about where I set up my still life. So as you can see, I actually purchased a decorative shelf from Home Depot. It was hanging on my wall, but my wall is quite weak and it kind of fell off. So what I decided to do, I bought a cheap little step stool. And I propped my decorative shelf on top of the step stool, and honestly, as crazy as it sounds, it's been working. So I'm pretty happy about that. So if you have the extra money and you're looking at my setup and you're like, okay, that could probably work for my space, it's a really good ideas. So normally, and I'll talk about this and how to set up your still life, but as you can see, I have just multiple still lives sitting on the shelf. I can move it around however I want. The shelf is very lightweight, so with it not being on the wall, I'm able to move it in different areas in my studio and just prop it on top of that stool. So you want to set up your materials in a way that works for you and your space. So you can see that this is my space. If I had a palette, I have enough room on this side of my table. I know I have a lot of paintbrushes and junk that's there, but normally I move stuff out the way and make room for my palette and my paints, anything that I possibly may need when I start to paint or actually draw. So this is how I set up my studio, and this has been working for me. And once again, I'm in my studio. I have a room studio and in my home, and as you can see, my table is in a little bit of it tucked in a corner. I have easels in other areas, but this little area has been working out for me, especially with recording and everything. So, and as you can see, I have a little spotlight that's kind of beaming from this area. That spotlight is always on the right side of me, but that's another thing to think about when you start to set up your still life and you start to light your still life as well. So I hope this helps you guys, and I'll see you in the next clip. Bye, guys.